This is Today on eNCA. A very good afternoon to you. I'm Gareth Edwards. Dan Moyane is away for the next few days. I'll be looking after the show. It's been a very busy day as far as remembering the very late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. I say very late, 95 years of age. Today was not just a memorial, it was also a celebration, as we heard from loved ones, the family members, dignitaries, and all of those who have met and worked with the late Prince over the years. It's been a very, very long career. So members of the IFP and the dignitaries coming out to pay tribute in remembrance to the party's president. It was at the official memorial service taking place in Ulundi. If you were not with us for much of the coverage, it was quite a long day. It was a special official funeral category 1. He will be laid to rest on Saturday. A reminder as well, the original planning told us that the funeral and the burial was going to be this coming Friday. So please note, it has now been moved to Saturday. There for us, reporter Moloko Moloto is at the stadium, joining us this late afternoon. Hello to you, Moloko, and some beautiful, beautiful tributes coming out from the family, the loved ones, and all of those who worked with Buthelezi over the years, an exemplary leader and a South African who served everyone in our country with diligence. Just one and a few of the ways he was described this afternoon.
Hello, Gareth Edwards. Well, I'm in a very, very noisy area, but I hope you can hear me. As you can see behind me, these are the faithfuls, the rank and file, the party members and supporters of the eNCA Freedom Party. They have come here along with many other people from this area of Ulundi, and I suppose from across the length and breadth of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, to pay homage to Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who is being remembered, as they say and believe, for the good work and the good leadership that they believe he has provided. I am standing in one of the two marquees. On the other side, there's one where the dignitaries, the VIPs, were seated at, and the family. And on this side where I am at, there's a huge marquee where the rank and file and other community members were seated. It was an overflow. And you might have heard, of course, from the people who took to the podium as they paid their last respect to the departed Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. We first heard from the likes of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, who is a leader in one of the parties in South Africa, the Economic Freedom Fighters, essentially dismissing as evil the people who are criticizing the legacy of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, saying that those who are criticizing him do not appreciate the fact that, according to him, Buthelezi helped to stabilize this country at the time of turmoil. We also heard from Velekosini Hlabisa, who is the current president of the IFP, saying that Prince Buthelezi, as much as at the time when the international community and the governing African National Congress now at the time was calling for the disinvestment and in the country and the sanctions, also calling for the armed struggle in order to defeat the government of the time. He says Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, as a leader of the IFP, refused to support those particular causes. Yet he himself, according to Hlabisa, was a freedom fighter, and he's saying at the time when there was a black-on-black violence, when he said about 20,000 people were unfortunately killed. He's saying the ANC vilified Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. That is what he told the mourners here. But also, Gareth, you might be aware that yesterday the deputy president of the ANC, Mr. Paul Mashatile, visited the Buthelezi family, and he was saying that he's aware that before he passed on, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi was calling for the reconciliation of the ANC as well as the IFP. I'm not too sure really what type of reconciliation he was looking for. However, our viewers would know and recall that Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi's political career started during his student days at Fort Hare University, when he became a member of the African National Congress Youth League. Of course, later on, he left the ANC to found his own party in 1975, the IFP. But let's speak to some of the rank and file, the supporters of the IFP who are here. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. We have had many people really paying their respects to UmNtwana. Nenanje, as the supporters and members of the IFP, how do you think he should be honored for his role?
Angibingelele thina njengamembers e-IFP irole esizoyidlala sifisa ukuthi konke lokhu ebekade kufiswa ngumntwana ukuthi kwenzeke ngeqembu lenkatha singomama kule nhlangano ye-IFP simisele ukuthi sihambe ngalendlela umntwana befisa ngayo.
And what is that way that you are saying he wanted you as the supporters of the IFP to walk through?
Ngiyabonga ukuthola leli thuba lokuthi ke ngiphendule lo mbuzo ukuthi iyiphi into eyaphambili esifisayo thina njengama supporters eIFP. Sifisela iqembu lethu inqubekela phambili. Na ukuthi ke ngoba umntwana esehambile wasishiya sihambe enyathelweni zakhe, sihambe ngezeluleko zakhe ade esifundisa zona, singaxoshi okuseceleni esingakwazi ukuze iqembu lethu lizokwazi ukuphumelela nangokhetho esiya kulo.
I want to speak to you, Baba. Ngiyathemba ukuthi uyazi ukuthi ushenge abanye bathi wayengekho right bayamublame for the violence that happened in South Africa, but others are saying he was a leader of integrity. How would you respond to this criticism yokuthi wayengekho right ushenge?
Firstly, we need to state that ushenge was the tallest tree. And as you understand, the tallest tree catches the most wind. So hence the criticism level against him is based on the fact that he was the tallest tree. But his biggest cry to date, Usheng, is that he rejected the ANC's calls, which they made to the international community to impose economic sanctions and disinvestment in South Africa. And his second sin or crime was to reject the calls for the embarkment of the arms struggle. And these two, by the way, are the ones that saved South Africa to date. We are alive as a result of Shenge's rejection of these two.
So in other words, you agree with some of the speakers that we heard from the podium who were saying he was a man of peace?
He was indeed a man of peace. He was a principled man. He was a man who led using honesty, integrity and clean governance, using those three pillars. Because even before becoming part of the new government of national unity, where he served for 10 years as minister, he was the chief minister of the SY KwaZulu government. During that government, there was not even a glimpse of corruption. So he was a man of peace, a man of integrity, and a man who led with clean government.
And lastly, how should we move away from the perception by those who are aggrieved, who still believe today that he was never held accountable, because they believe that he must have been held accountable for the bloodbath that happened in the 80s and the 90s.
But I'm sure you are aware that it takes two to tango. Now, the violence we are talking about is a violence that claims more than 20,000 lives. It can't be correct that you can name one person, to say one person can be held responsible for such a massacre. It can't be. And the violence that we talk about is something that was complex in its nature. So it involved, there were many forces that were involved, including, of course, both the IFP and the ANC. But of course, I mean, he went to the TRC, and when he went to the TRC, when he was asked, he did say he never ordered any of his members to go and commit murder or to kill people, saying those who did so were just butchering people on their own. But he could not, hide the fact that at times, because his members were also attacked, in fact 12,000 of IFP members were killed as opposed to the 8,000 of the ANC. So at times he did mention that because his members were attacked, at times he had to instruct them, say, you must do something to defend yourselves. So the criticism is unfair to say that massacre can be held on one man alone. It can't be correct.
The supporters and the members of the IFP, they got very spirited that he cannot solely be held responsible for the atrocities that have happened in this country. And of course, we also heard from some of the speakers who are saying now that he is no longer here to defend himself, and we know that he openly defended himself and said this was a propaganda to tarnish his image. Some of those who were speaking today here from the podium said they will now continue to defend his legacy. He's going to be laid to rest on Saturday, and going forward, it remains to be seen how South Africa will have to move forward away from this history of the 95-year-old Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
Yeah, the only certainty we have right now, Moloko, is that the funeral and the burial will take place this coming Saturday. If you just joined us, good afternoon. Let's continue our coverage of what has been the official memorial for the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, a towering leader who helped shape young leaders and young lives in our country. Let's continue with our coverage. Sipha Mandla-Goge, hello to you. Let's come down to you in Ulundi as well. Hello to you, Sipha. Give us a sense where you are, but as I talk to you, one of the comments that stood out for me is just to give a sense of how long the late Prince was involved in South African politics. When we talk about the young politicians of today, the IFP leader, Velenkosi Glabisa, quoting, many of us here have never lived a life without Shenge. It puts it into context just how long he served this country, isn't it?
Well, those sentiments are echoed by many here if you take into account that Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is the founder of the IFP. All the leaders who joined that party, they joined at a very young age. They grew up under him. Some of them were mentored by him and they were groomed by him. So it's not surprising that they will talk about how long Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi's contribution has been in politics. And it does not take away the fact that those who are within the party's ranks today have been with the IFP ever since Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi was the leader. He served the party he founded for many years. Of course, towards the end of his life, he had to let go of the leadership reins. The very same party he founded had to honor him by giving him the status of President Emeritus. And he has been basically the IFP. You can't talk about the IFP without Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Hence, many people say it will be difficult for this party to move forward, move ahead without Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, because at the end of the day, he has only known this political party together with the African National Congress, which he was a member of the ANC Youth League. He had always spoken about his relationship with ANC politicians, whom he called his leaders at the time. And he has always said he would have loved to see the reconciliation between the ANC and the IFP. The president of the IFP currently basically paying homage there, saying, well, we would love to see young leaders emulating Shenge here. And all these leaders who are here have had a contact and some engagement politically with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, because they regard him as their father. So currently what we see There are even those mourners who had come all the way from Eswatini, the kingdom of Eswatini. A delegation was dispatched by the Buthelezi family to go to the kingdom of Eswatini and inform His Majesty King Mswati III, as we see family members here of the Buthelezi, of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, living here after attending the memorial service. We see here Princess Phumzile living. We also see the president of the IFP there, Velenkosini Hlabisa, and the members of the Buthelezi family who are still very much emotional, pretty much emotional. Remember, they have lost a father, a grandfather. To many people, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi was like a politician and a leader, but to his family, he was a father. We see grandchildren and other members of the family here living as they were attending this memorial service here. We see Inkosi Chiliza here. Baba Tungen. Unjani Tungen, ngiyacela kancane Tungen, sithi ungqumuza Tungen. Ngiyacela Tungen. Okay, let's come this side. If we can come this side and then just have a word with Inkosi Uchiliza. Bengicela siye phambili Tungen kancane ungadinwa. Let's allow the family to live. Inkosi Uchiliza, thank you very much for your time. You worked for a very long time with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. You delivered a message of support touching on many issues. How will you remember him? I know together with the late king of AmaZulu, King Zwelithini, you were very close to those two leaders.
Thank you very much. In fact, yes, indeed, a great and a big tree has fallen. We will remember UmNtwana waKwaPhindangene as a great man, a humble man, and a man of integrity, and a man of his ways. As we all know that, as we are speaking today, that there is in Gonyama Trust Land, it's because of him. He sacrificed his life, his political party in the last moment of election before 1994. That alone says a lot. As you can know, yesterday there was Amakosi from all over, led by the national chairperson, saying as Amakosi, they have a hope in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We say condolences to the family, especially all our condolences to the family and to his kids. Thank you.
There are two things that troubled him: lack of reconciliation between IFP and ANC, and the issue of the ongoing squabbles within the royal family. He said those two needed to be resolved.
We hope really this thing, and we believe, as the deputy president said yesterday, they are going to deal with that because that was very in his heart. We hope they will reconcile, and even these squabbles in the royal household, we believe, for the sake of the family, they must come together and make sure that something is done in that. Thank you.
That is Inkosi Uphathisizwe Chilisa. Now we are joined by the Chief Whip of the Governing African National Congress, Phemi Majodina. Thank you very much for your time. You interacted with Shenge in Parliament, and during the Valentine's they will dish out flowers. Let's talk about your fond memories of him, but also you are the NEC member of the governing ANC. He spoke about this unity and reconciliation between the IFP and the ANC, going to the extent of saying at some point you may need to come together and become one party because you are one big family.
I know that very well. When I attended a funeral in Tuba of the president of the IFP Youth Brigade, he addressed for about 2 hours, and he was preaching on unity. He was preaching on reconciliation between the ANC and the IFP. He was very committed on that agenda of reconciliation, and I am looking forward, as the Deputy President have said, that that will be on top of our agenda, because the IFP initially was the initiative of our leaders, and therefore it is important that pity that were overtaken by events, we should have done that reconciliation while he was still alive. I'm looking forward in building the nation. there are certain painful chapters that we have to go through. That is one of them. I'll remember Utata by giving us those well-prepared speeches in Parliament, but also even in Parliament he did not like violence because he has seen what violence has done to us. So I think in honor of his memory, we must all be peaceful in our country and embrace one another and be patriotic.
Thank you very much for time. I have to release you. There is no way I cannot try. Lizelle, please, I know you are still emotional. We are live on eNCA. You were UmNtwana's aide for many years. You have worked with him. You grew up under him. Reflect on his life and legacy for us.
UmNtwana was a great human being. He sacrificed a lot for us in the IFP, but also in this country. He was a servant leader. He was somebody who gave his very best for South Africa. He was a person dedicated not only to building a better South Africa, but also he was a person that was dedicated to the AmaZulu nation. We will really miss a great statesman, somebody who never took a day off work. I never saw UmNtwana taking one day off work, and all of the time that I knew him. So really a great tree has fallen, somebody that cannot be replaced, and we will really miss him.
And he would write his notes handwritten and hand them over to you to type.
It would always be the worst moment if he gives me a handwritten note because I could never read his handwriting. You would really get such a big fright when he sends you a note and he's looking at you and he's saying, "Please, write back," but you have to take about 10 minutes to decipher the handwriting. So really we've lost a legend. When I saw him on Saturday when he left the hospital, I was holding his hand. I said to him, "UmNtwana, I'll see you soon." I thought I would still be seeing him in the weeks to come and that he would get better and return to work that he loved, return to his beloved Ulundi, to waKwaPhindangene, but it wasn't to be. God had other plans. We really want to thank the nation for your outpouring of love, for the family and for our political party. We really thank everyone for coming today as well.
Thank you very much for time. That is Lizelle van der Merwe, one of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi's aides. I mean, she worked with him for a very long time. Many people are leaving now after attending this memorial service here. Leaders have taken off as we come to an end of this memorial services, or rather of this memorial service in Ulundi.
Prince of waKwaPhindangene, Hambakahle Shenge. The memorial service today, but the burial this coming Saturday. Siphamani Lagoge, thank you very much. Our team will be there throughout the evening as well. As we head up to 20 minutes away from 6 o'clock, there is a lot of business to get through. Rapiwa standing by with that, including